We're just gonna do it like this.
This looks great.
This is so good.
I'm so comfortable.
This is just the Saturday struggle.
This is the after party.
The Saturday Life Struggle here at the SLS, Saturday Life Struggle, is what this hotel stands for.
Sure is. Oh, I really might fall asleep.
Hi, I hope everyone is doing well. We are here in Vegas after an exhausting week at ABC. And what better way to cap it off than by going to see Miss Britney Spears. And we went to Brit last night, and we were up way too late.
Way too late.
Very sensible. It was very sensible. We were not misbehaving.
We were not bad,
We were
but
just
we
up
just had a
late.
lot of fun.
It was wonderful. I won an extra, like $120 on the Britney slot last night.
You totally
So,
did.
and the thing is, we're all winners with Britney. We're all winners. And I think what was so fun last night, like you and I talked about it, and I know this has nothing to do with breastfeeding, but it's like she went through some rough years, like rough stuff, because she's been famous since she was a fetus, okay? And so there's no way somebody comes out of that undamaged. And to see like her now in great shape, working her ass off up there and just having a great time, it's like it makes you happy for Brit. I'm very proud of her.
She was amazing last night. She looked good. She performed great.
Notice
high
we say
energy.
performed, because but you don't care. You don't care. She was a blast.
She was.
She entertained that audience.
Yeah.
So
she made everybody happy.
Yeah.
And you could tell she was happy too,
Yeah.
right? Like
it was
just-
so good.
was
It
really
was
good.
so fun.
So
Highly
fun.
recommend seeing the Brit if you're in Vegas. So we were here for ABC Kids. It's the largest like industry trade show for the juvenile industry here in North America. It's huge, and we basically come here to walk the show, find new brands, to check out whatever. So it's exhausting, and I will never be hydrated enough after this trip.
I definitely didn't drink enough water.
No, because you're like, I need coffee, I have to survive, or you have beer, so you don't drink enough water. My lips are actually so chapped and dry they have bled. This is the second year in a row.
And it's so dry here too.
It's so dry, and it's like, I didn't bring
Stinky,
moisturizer,
smoky.
it's smoky.
Yeah.
But what I
It's
will say
Vegas.
about the SLS, their ventilation system is first class.
It's true.
You can't smell the cigarette smoke downstairs at all. And I don't know if it's a combination of ventilation and some kind of god-awful perfume they're probably pumping everywhere.
It smells like a
Every now and then you
perfume.
smell the perfume.
I smell it, yeah.
But you can't smell the smoke.
I'd rather that than the smoke, for sure.
I'd much rather have
It's not like an offensive
Vegas essence.
Right.
Vegas essence. Like, it's that, what's that smell? Regret. So this is our monthly breastfeeding and pumping Q&A. This is Shari.
Hi,
I've known her
everyone.
for about 40 years. Sherry, go ahead and introduce yourself and give a little
Hi,
background.
everybody. Good morning. We don't usually do this first thing in the morning.
No,
waking
we
up,
don't.
So
No,
you'll
we
have to
don't.
excuse our slow start, and just gonna have a relaxed time today. It's a little bit different. It's the first time doing it during the day.
Yeah,
it actually
we've
feels
never-
bright and
It's
feels kind of
great.
strange, but it's
Yeah.
it's good. It's good. So I'm Sherry Creso, and for those of you guys who don't know me or see me for the first time, like JB said, we've known each other for well over 40 years. And
Maybe 57
we've
years.
been doing this for a long time together. I'm a certified nurse midwife and an international board certified lactation consultant, and been taking care of moms for 25 years. And I'm here to help you. I'm here to answer your questions. And shoot your questions. Go ahead.
Shoot your
and
questions.
shoot
We
your
have a few.
questions.
But I do want to say, I want you guys. It is, aside from walking the show and talking, it's exhausting, because like the expectation on, I guess, somebody in my position at a trade show some brands can be very aggressive. So I want to share with you what happened.
Yeah.
For the first time at ABC. I've become accustomed to having brands run after me in the show aisles, which is against show policy. You're not supposed to chase people in the aisles. You're supposed to stay near your
Oh, I wish
booth.
I would have known that.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I got chased a few times.
No, I've gotten pretty sassy with some
Yeah,
people,
it's pretty annoying.
like I want to do. But one night I got home and I left my lights off and I just went to bed. So I didn't really notice. I thought it was a pile of dirty clothes, like in my dirty clothes suitcase, because that's how I roll. I woke up the next morning, I'm on my way to the shower. It's not a pile of dirty clothes. It's at ABC Kids, Bebe Ole usually sponsors like these totes, so you can like get stuff and carry them around,
I love those
whatever.
totes.
They're very sensible.
They work well.
There were 4 of these up here. I threw them all away, but I kept this one because I want to show you. I'm not going to say what brand it is, whatever, but I came home to 4 of these with my hotel envelope and my name. Brands had dropped off product at the hotel front desk, and the hotel delivered it to my room. These are brands I've never seen. I don't know who they are, and I find that a little invasive.
Disturbing.
Next.
Done.
So let's go back to talking about breastfeeding.
Guess that
and
didn't work.
pumping. So here we go. We're just going to start it off. I need to come up with a nickname for you.
For me?
Like Share Bear or something.
Share Bear.
Share Bear. Kathy
That works.
wants to know, I am having outpatient surgery with general anesthetic. How long after can I start breastfeeding again? Do I need to pump and dump for a certain period of time? Thank you! Exclamation point, exclamation point, exclamation point.
So, you have to wait until you're awake. That's basically the answer. There is no time after waking up from general anesthesia that you have to pump and dump. This is a complete myth. Something I talk about quite often is that you don't, there is, even though you're being told that maybe by an anesthesiologist or your physician, it's wrong information. As soon as you are conscious and awake and able to hold your baby, it is safe to breastfeed again based on those anesthetics that you've been given. They're very quick acting and they have a very short half-lives and they come out of your system. That's why you wake up. So when you wake up, it's basically coming out of your system and there's nothing going to the baby. So
if you, because the one time I've been under a couple times, like my wisdom teeth, and then I had surgery in high school, aside from my pyloric stenosis as a baby. But I had my chest, I had basically reconstruction surgery on my rib cage in high school, and the epidural didn't work while I was under, so I had no painkiller, which was super hell to come out of when your whole ribs have been rebuilt. So when I was coming out, I would go through like this hazy mid phase where I would like go and then go right back and like come out for a little bit and
it's
pass
still in
back
your
out.
system.
Yeah, so you should wait until you're like fully awake.
yes,
right?
because you don't want to hold the baby if
Yeah,
you're not
yeah,
conscious.
yeah.
But the other thing to keep in mind, it's not just that by the time you feel well enough to sit up and nurse the baby, that you remember that drugs that are given to you through an IV or through your blood don't always absorb through the intestines. They're not necessarily, they don't work taken orally. So what is your baby getting? It's oral. Think about it. You're getting it through an IV. Your baby's drinking it through the milk.
Oh, that's really interesting.
So when we look at different medications, not all medications, you may be getting something through an IV, but it doesn't have the same bioavailability when ingested. You get what I'm saying? So you can't drink anesthetics. It doesn't cross. So it works a little bit different. The baby's getting it through the milk, which is why it's different than a fetus with a blood connection. If you're pregnant, the drugs work differently because you're actually getting a continuous stream of the blood, and there's no intermittent feedings. Whereas when you're feeding a baby, you have timing in between where it comes in and out of the milk, and then when it does go into the baby, it's going through their gut, so it has to be absorbed through the intestine. Not all drugs do that the same way.
Well, look at that. Look at that. And make sure you're liking this video. Make sure we get some likes and some hearts or whatever emojis you.
There you go.
Vegas signal is also a struggle. It's a struggle. Just like waking up in Vegas, just like the Katy Perry song. Did you know it's a Katy Perry song?
It is?
Shut up and put your money where your mouth is. That's what you get for waking up in Vegas. You're welcome.
Yeah, I like that
I do
song.
love a Katy Perry.
I love Katy Perry.
That was
Best
also
concert.
a great concert.
Best
Katy
concert.
Perry was a blast.
She's my number one concert.
It's so fun. She puts on a great show.
It's unbelievable.
Oh,
it just doesn't end.
It's just fun.
Yeah.
Just fun.
So much fun.
Except I'll tell
The
you what was
costumes,
weird. When they all
the
dressed up
flights.
like cats and they had like the giant cat
It was weird.
playground.
I didn't like that either.
I didn't understand
I didn't
it.
like-
I don't need that in my life, Katie.
Uh-uh.
Come on. It's creepy. If you want to do cats, just put on the unitard and paint your face.
Yeah,
do your own production.
It's funny that you're saying that because that was the weird.
it was
that was
weird.
a weird part. I didn't like that either. Yes,
Rose,
we did see Brittany.
yeah.
They're confused. We're talking about a
Yeah.
long time ago.
Yeah.
We saw Brittany last night.
Did we get married? No.
My poor husband.
So Rose has a question. I don't know what to do. I'm still breastfeeding my 2-year-old, and last week I got a red bump on my areola, and it became like an open sore every time he nurses on that side. It feels like he's pinching my nipple. So I was getting better, and then another one pops up. Could it be from him favoring a spot and his teeth maybe making it raw?
Yeah, especially if it's opening up like that. A red bump could be the baby kind of clamping down on one part of your nipple. And if it's not healing, then if you keep latching the baby to that side in the same position, it's going to keep ripping open that spot. You got to be careful with that because open wounds on the nipple are the perfect entry point for bacteria and then mastitis.
Boob flu.
Yeah, so you got to be careful with an open sore. You definitely want to let it heal. That tissue needs to, the skin needs to granulate back together, and every time you nurse on it, it's going to pull. If it's really bad, 2 things you could do. One is take just a day of just pumping on that side and nursing on the other. Give it kind of a rest from the clamping, and then also change different positions. So if you're seeing it like on one spot of the areola, nurse in a different position so the pressure is in a different spot, and hopefully that's going to help to not pull it open again. But you know, you guys all need to keep in mind when the skin is open, bacteria can enter, and if you are not draining the breast well and then you've got an open wound, this is like the perfect setup for a mastitis, a bacterial infection, and you got to take it seriously because you get really sick.
Yeah.
You get really sick. So make sure you're draining the breast well, especially if it's like, you know, you just had the baby and the nipples are sore or cracked or anything like that. Make sure you're draining your breast well and that you're doing whatever you can to correct whatever created that. So if your positioning's not good, make sure you're working on that with somebody.
Very sensible. Jennifer from Grand Haven, Michigan writes, I'm trying to wean my 2-month-old off the nipple shield because he refuses to eat without it. He latched on twice before and pulled off right away. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. He has a good latch. Any tips or words of wisdom?
Yeah, nipple shields are great devices when needed. And, you know, people need them for different reasons. It could be a baby that, you know, has been given bottles early on and then you're trying to transition back to the breasts. It's a great transition. It could be somebody with really flat or inverted nipples. Nipple shields can work. Or if you've been very sore and you're cracked and bleeding, you may work with a lactation consultant who gives you a nipple shield to protect the skin. And the answer to her baby's 2 months old.
Yeah.
2 months old. Okay, so you know here's my experience with it, and I've had lots of clients who I've given nipple shields to. I've never had anyone who had to use it the entire year if they didn't want to. So my answer to this is keep trying to put the baby to the breast without the shield and have patience. The good news is you are still breastfeeding at the breast. You're still nursing. You know, your baby's coming to you skin to skin. All the same things are there, and it sounds like there's no issue with weight gain or milk supply or anything like that. So just have some patience with it, because if you keep trying, you don't want to force the baby. Try each feeding to put the baby directly to your skin, to your nipple. If it's not working, put the shield back on. Eventually that baby's not going to care whether the nipple shield is there or not, because he knows where the food's coming from, and he's going to latch. Lots of skin to skin, and maybe even try like after the feeding, when the baby's not super hungry, latching for just like sucking, comforting suck instead of eating. That way they're not frantic trying to get the nipple and trying to get the milk. So that's a good time to practice with it. But just keep trying. It's gonna, eventually you're gonna be like, okay, I didn't need it anymore.
This question comes up a lot, and I feel it's always good to kind of
My eyes are tearing.
address it again. Vegas.
I look like I just woke up.
Can you explain the dynamics of high lipase?
Oh.
I defrosted my first bag of frozen milk that was pumped a month and a half ago, and it smelled and tasted metallic. Baby refused it. This also happened to fresh milk that was about 2 days old, and baby wanted nothing to do with it. I just defrosted some milk that was frozen only a few days prior, and it smells and tastes just fine. Does freezing slow the enzymes breaking down of milk fat? Also, as my milk changes over time, is it possible I won't have this problem, say, like 2 months from now?
Okay, so what she's explaining is lipase, which is an enzyme that breaks down the fats in breast milk.
Likes for lipase.
Likes for lipase. So it breaks down the fats. You know, breast milk is a pretty high fat. You know, babies need fat, lots of fat in the milk for their brain development, for their growth. And so you need enzymes that actually break that down. And what happens is some women have higher amounts of lipase in their milk. And so what will happen is that as they're storing milk, so it's not just, it doesn't do anything when you're feeding directly to the baby. You wouldn't even know that you had that. It's not like the fresh milk as soon as it comes out is going to smell or have any problems, because it's not working on it fast enough. What that means by an enzyme is that it's something that breaks down another component. So the lipase breaks down the fats. If you have a high amount of that and you put that and you store it, you pump it, you put it in the refrigerator, the lipase is working on the milk while it's sitting there, breaking it down, and it creates that odor.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it's starting to digest
Yeah.
it. Do you understand? So it's pre-digesting the milk before it actually gets into the baby. And that's what it's supposed to do inside the baby.
Yeah.
But think about it. Our bodies were never meant to pump and store.
Yeah.
It was just not supposed to be like that. We were supposed to just feed, and that's it. But of course we do, because we need to go to work, and we need so many other reasons why we pump and store. So when you freeze milk, or for some, if you just refrigerate milk, or even if you just pump it and leave it out, that lipase is going to work. So it's actually doing its job. It's digesting the milk, so it starts to take on an odor. Some babies will reject it because it just smells or it tastes funny to them. Others could care less. You know, you'll smell it and you'll be like, what is this? Baby's taking it. The milk's not spoiled. The milk is not spoiled. It's just pre-digested.
Pre-digested milk.
Pre-digested. I'm trying to figure out the best way to explain
way.
it. Okay, so that's what's happening to it. If the baby is rejecting it and you need to store milk, you need to freeze milk, the best thing you could do is you can scald the milk before you store it. So you take your fresh pumped milk, pour it into a pan, kind of sear it till you see little bubbles, stop, and then store it. Cool it down and freeze it. And that usually stops the process.
Very good. Somebody, Amanda, here on the live, has a question. Currently has mastitis, prescribed an antibiotic. Any other tips on how to get rid of it? I'm so sick. Sad face emoji.
Yeah. Oh, the number one thing you need to do with mastitis is be sure that you are draining the breast. Keeping the breast empty is super important with mastitis, and either that's putting the baby to the breast. Remember, the milk is not infected. There's nothing wrong with the milk when you've had a breast infection or during a breast infection. In fact, you want to nurse more frequently. Waiting time between feedings where you get full is going to actually make the problem worse. So you want to be feeding frequently, pumping frequently, especially on the breast that's really impacted. You can try cold compresses. You could try heat right before you feed to get the letdown to happen quicker. And then really the most important thing is rest, rest, rest. You need to rest. It's like the flu. You need to stay in bed. You need to rest. Everybody needs to take care of you. Stay hydrated and nurse a lot.
Put your feet up and have someone bring you
And
things.
and if you really do have a bacterial infection, let's just talk about that for a
Okay,
second.
yeah.
Because so many of you guys deal with mastitis and infections. There's a difference between mastitis and an infection, like where you need antibiotics, okay? Now, mastitis is an inflammation of the breast, so it gets inflamed, not necessarily an infection. Everybody kind of lumps it together. The inflammation can progress into an infection if not treated. So initially, if you start to get redness of the breast, a mild fever, you know that you're starting to get mastitis, you don't necessarily need to start antibiotics immediately. You can take 24 hours to nurse a lot, empty the breast, rest, drink water, warm compresses, like moist compresses, and see if you can get it to start resolving. But if you're beyond 24 hours, your fever's going up, that's when it's time to really start the antibiotics. Letting it go can make the problem much worse. It can turn into an abscess. You don't even want to go there. And if you are started on antibiotics, then you make sure that you finish the entire dose. Mm-hmm. And usually it's a 7 to 10 day course of antibiotics. And again, the antibiotics should be totally safe for nursing as well.
There you have that. Should we just talk about the pump real quick?
Sure.
Just do that and get some more questions.
I traveled with it, so
she,
we should.
She put a breast pump in her suitcase, and I'm not ashamed to say I've also done that. I remember the very first time I did a video on this pump, I had to leave for an emergency trip because we were worried about the weather. So I had to go to Houston like 3 days early. So I traveled with a breast pump in my suitcase. And that it's always a treat because you never know, like, it's kind of like a hazard of our job or a perk, depending on how you look at it.
That happens to me. Do you know what happened
We have
to me?
baby stuff, and like you go through security, and it's like,
I have a story.
You're a man with a breast pump in your bag.
I traveled with a breast that wasn't mine. It was one of those fake breasts,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the educational breast that you demonstrate things on, and it's all like silicone and it feels like a real breast. And we were going somewhere to do pump demonstrations. I was going with Evenflo, and I was traveling up to Toronto, and I had to take, and I had the breast at my house from the last trip, and Elise was like, bring the breast. So I had to pack the breast, and I was only taking a carry-on, so I couldn't put it in my suitcase. I had to keep it in my carry-on. So I had it in this thing, and and it's like in a case, like a special case, right? And I'm like, okay, going through security. I'm like, please, just let me go smoothly. Of course, they're like, gotta check your bag. Shit. Like, they're gonna see the breast. They're gonna think I'm crazy.
They got a boob in a bag.
So then it was terrible. They open up my bag, and they open up the case, and there was this guy, and he literally lifts it up, and he starts waving it around. It was bizarre. He was like showing people. I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, let me go. He literally was like, they had this whole big joke. They couldn't believe they had a breast in the bag. And I was mortified. I was like, what is wrong with these people?
I think they must see so. I bet
think
that's
they
not the
never saw
weirdest
that.
thing.
No,
I bet
no,
that's
no,
not the weirdest thing they saw that day, though.
I had to explain why I had a breast, though.
I've had to explain Angry Baby twice. And I'll tell you, a lot of people ask about him and like flying around. He's hollow. So the baby-wearing babies are not. The baby-wearing babies have, weighted, they're like a bean bag. So they get checked all the time. And I have a photo of all these babies from Becco getting swabbed for explosives. Oh, God. I need to find that and post it.
Yeah.
It's a
you
mess.
Never know what's hiding inside Angry Baby.
No, they just go like, what's hiding inside of him is nothing because his heart is hollow.
Aww.
He is hollow inside. Yeah. He's very empty.
Aww.
Hence the sour face. So somebody says, Leah, best ways to increase supply.
Breastfeed. Nurse your baby frequently. So there's all kinds of things you can think of. There are, supplements and teas and tinctures and foods and things that can help with your supply, and for sure do help to increase it. But the number one thing is to make sure that you are draining the breast frequently. If you're trying to time your feedings, if you're trying to stretch your feedings, like you want to try to do 4 hour every 4 hours, you're trying to sleep through the night when your baby wants to eat, those things are going to decrease your supply. So the best way is to just nurse frequently. And if your baby's going long stretches and you want to increase your supply, pump an hour after you feed. Doing an extra pumping, some stimulation, is going to be the number one thing. When your breast is full, so you waited, right? Like like time's gone by. I hear people all the time. They're like, I want to pump, but I'm going to wait till I'm nice and full to pump. You know what I'm talking? Like you thinking, okay, I feel empty right now. It's not a good time. It's actually the best time. When you're full and you've let time go by, you just sent a signal to your brain that says make less. The fullness is a signal to make less.
Yeah.
The draining, the emptiness, when feeling empty all the time because you're feeding and pumping a lot, is actually signaling the brain and the body to make more. So it's the opposite of what you might be thinking is I'll wait to pump and then I'll get more out. Now you wait to pump and now you're going to make less as time goes by. So it's really important to keep the breast drained. And everybody has a different breast capacity. So you want to make sure that you're following your baby's cues. If your baby needs to eat every 2 hours, there's a reason. Everybody makes about the same or can make enough for their baby over a 24-hour period. How many times or feedings they have to do in that 24 hours does vary from woman to woman because of breast capacity. And when and the other thing too is when your breast is emptier, like so, you know, like in the first thing in the morning, your breast is really full. You get up, it's just.
I do know that.
Do you know? Okay.
I feel very engorged in the morning.
I'm like talking to you like, you know what I mean?
It's the first thing I think of when I wake up. Ooh, I'm gonna spurt.
Springing a leak. All right, they know what I mean. You guys know what I mean, right?
Oh man.
Full in the morning. That fullness. The milk may be there may be a lot more volume, but it's more watery, right? In the late afternoon, early evening, you may feel really drained and empty, but the milk is really fatty. And so even though it doesn't seem like a lot of milk, it's really important milk.
It's
and
dense.
It's dense and it's thick and it's fatty and it's high caloric milk. So it's just as important. The baby may only be eating 1.5 ounces or 2 ounces in the evening, but getting more calories than they're getting in the morning with all the hydration.
Quality versus quantity.
You can't compare, you can't really look at it based on the quantity because it does change throughout the day. It changes from feeding to feeding. It changes over the weeks and months. It's very unlike formula, which is exactly the same coming out of the can or the bottle from the first day to the last. From the morning till the night, from day to day, it's always the same.
Ounces go up.
Which is why ounces go up. And it's not really mimicking breast milk. It's just giving that bare minimum nutrition so the baby can survive on it. But it is not the same in that sense. So that anytime you can do any amount of breastfeeding, even if it's a little bit of breast milk mixed in, even if you're formula feeding, you could do any breast milk, it is worth it. Because there are components that just are not in the formula. So even one feeding. Speaking
of draining the breast and pumping, let's just go through this pump because we got sidetracked and didn't do that.
We didn't do it yet.
We didn't do it yet.
I forgot.
What?
You could tell it's the morning.
Oh my goodness. Well, my goodness. What's this breast pump you traveled all the way to Vegas with?
That's dedication.
It really is.
That is dedication. I'm like, my bags are already overweight and heavy. And I'm still taking the pump with us because we have to show this every time.
It's not heavy though.
Well, that's the thing.
Nice.
It is nice and small. I really couldn't justify it. I'm like, the 6 pair of shoes or the pump. I think I'll just bring 5 pairs of shoes with me. Okay, so this is the Evenflo Feeding Advanced Double Electric Breast Pump that we all know and love so much. And thank you to Evenflo Feeding for these chats.
Thank you, Evenflo.
Love you guys. Love you guys.
I feel bad. I only got to see Elise from Evenflo for about 4.5 minutes.
Oh, really? Oh.
This week.
I found her. We were able to hang out at the party for a little while, and then she did a live chat with me yesterday, which was really cool. I'm glad we got to do that. And I'm going to be in Cincinnati all week, so I'll be with them all week. I'll be at headquarters the whole week coming up.
You better go to the Eagle for me.
The Eagle?
Make Elise take you to the Eagle and over the Rhine.
Okay.
It is a really good It's a fried chicken restaurant.
Yeah.
But they make corn nuts, homemade corn nuts, and they are so
Corn
good.
nuts. Interesting.
Yes, it's like a spicy Cool Ranch Dorito kind of seasoning. They put on these homemade corn nuts, and I just want to take my handfuls and shovel them in my mouth hole. Like, they're so good.
Yeah, that's so you.
So-
That is so your food. That's so your style. I can see that. I gotta go taste it. All right, Elise, we're going to Eagles.
Go to the Eagle.
Okay, the Eagle. The Eagle. Okay, so let's talk about the pump.
Let's talk about that.
We do this when we get together because it's important to see what are the features, and so many of you guys are either expecting or you're thinking about getting a breast pump. You know, you're either getting it through your insurance or you're going to buy one. And I like to go through the features that you look for in a breast pump. There are 3 main features that I always recommend, and they're on this pump, and they're on others too, but this is the one that I actually was involved in the development with, so I helped to design this pump, the features on this pump, and my education, both of my breastfeeding classes are included for free when you purchase this pump. So it's not just getting a good quality product, but you're getting the education and the information that you need to be successful breastfeeding and also pumping.
And there's the breastfeeding class and the other classes for pumping, and like pumping and going back to work and dealing with that. So it's very good. It's very good stuff.
Yeah, yeah. We
So-
can give some away today too.
Yeah, we can do that.
We can do that. All right, so let's go over the features of the breast pump. The first feature that I always look for with any breast pump is that it comes with multiple flange sizes included. And the Evenflo Feeding...
Hold on.
Hold on.
Hold on.
Room service is...
Keep going.
The Evenflo Feeding pump has 3 flanges included with the pump, so that you will know which one you need by trying them out, because flanges are not something that you can measure for. It's not like a bra where you do a breast measurement or a rib cage measurement and you need to try them. So if they're not included with the pump, it's quite hard to figure out which one do I need. If the flange doesn't, and flanges are this, so I'm assuming you know what I mean, but this is the flange. This is the piece that goes on your breast.
The boob cone.
Exactly.
The funnel.
Exactly. And that's the hole. The sizing is not this part, it's the size of the hole that changes based on the size of the flange. And it's how your nipple fits inside this hole. If it's too tight, it's gonna hurt and you're not gonna get your milk out. If it's too large, it's gonna pull too much of the breast tissue in and it's gonna hurt and you're not gonna get your milk out.
Room service. Housekeeping.
Housekeeping.
Just breast pump out. Whatever.
Housekeeping.
I didn't put the do not disturb.
I
forgot.
Like crap, who's that? Okay, so that's one thing. Now, some pumps come with the flanges, like the Evenflo Feeding. It has 3 sizes included, and then if you actually need larger, there's 2 sizes larger that you can purchase separately if any of the 3 don't fit. But most people fit into one of those 3 sizes. Some pumps have no additional ones that come with it, but you can buy them separately. And then some pumps, and this is the one you want to watch out for, are ones that they come with one size and they don't sell any other sizes.
Anything. My sister used just about every single pump on the market before she was done. And it's one of the reasons we started working with Evenflo is she used the pump, they sent it to her, and she was like, Jamie, this is the most comfortable pump I've ever used. I'm getting more milk out. Like, we have to figure out a way to work with them. So that was actually the start. So thank you, Jennifer, for doing that. But there was one pump she got in the mail, and it was one size flange. They said it was a one size fits all. That's not right.
There is no one size fits all flange.
We played with that thing as much as we could, and it's like nothing like a bonding exercise to sit there and play with pumps and things on your own sister's breast. With like playing with all the things, and it hurt her so much. She screamed. Like, I felt so bad. It made me sick to my stomach. It was so bad.
That's the thing with this pump that I notice when I work with moms. I don't know if you can see it, but this is like a really soft silicone flange here. So it's not that, there is a hard plastic underneath. And that's what you'll see on many of the pumps, that hard plastic. But this flange right here fits inside, and then it's soft. There's an air cushion between the flange and the hard flange. And then it also has, if you could see that there's like a textured interior. The outside is silicone, so it kind of creates a seal, like sticky on the breast, and the inside is textured so the nipple slides nice and easy. You're not getting any friction on the nipple. That comfort will have moms, like, I'll watch moms, they'll put it on, I'll be talking to them, they start pumping, and then they think that has nothing started yet because they're not feeling any pain, or they're not really feeling much of anything. It's so comfortable, and the milk's already like done, like they've already pumped a few ounces because it's so comfortable. The letdown happens so much easier. The pumping shouldn't hurt. So that's what, if you start to compare it where like it hurts when I pump, but then I know the milk's really coming out. Not really supposed to be that way.
Yeah.
It's not really supposed to be that way. Comfort is number one when it comes to pumping. So you want to make sure you're comfortable. You're going to get better milk if you do that. So that's the flanges. Second feature is adjustable speed and suction controls on your pump. And many pumps out there, and including the most expensive ones on the market, do not allow you to...
You get like stages.
Yeah.
1, 2.
You get like a button that you push, and it does it for you, and then one dial that doesn't allow you to keep, individually increase and decrease your speed and suction. And like I was saying to you last time, I did a video recently on instructing people how to use their dials.
Oh, yeah.
And it's been so great. I mean, I have so many messages from moms saying, I'm getting so much more milk because now I know how to use my pump. Now I know how to use my pump. Or they had a pump that had the dial, and they're like, I went and got a regular pump that I got the Evenflo, and I'm getting 50% more milk out of it.
That's great.
And it's due to it's not because it made you make more milk, it's because the milk was there, you just couldn't get it out without multiple letdowns, and we all love our multiple letdowns.
I always say it's like OkCupid. It's online dating, multiple letdowns.
So this will definitely help you get multiple letdowns in a good way, And then the last feature, I'd say most importantly, number one question you ask when you're looking at a breast pump, is it an open or a closed system? And we're always surprised.
Oh, Rebecca just said that video changed my supply.
There you go. We'll have to post that.
Yeah.
We'll have to post that.
Yeah.
It's a good video, and it'll really teach you how to do it. So, okay, so this is a closed system, okay, versus an open system. An open system means that there is no barrier between the milk going into the flange and going down into the bottle. So milk can splash or get sucked right into the tube. It's like plugged right behind here, okay, or right on top, but there's splashing, and you'll see milk can actually get in here. There's condensation here. If it gets into your tube, because it's an open system, it could get sucked right back into the pump, and once it gets into the pump body, like the motor, you can't clean it out. So it's pretty gross. Like, it can grow mold and bacteria inside there. It can destroy your motor. It's not a good thing. With a closed system, you have a barrier. So this little thing here, it's a diaphragm, is a barrier. So when you put that there, okay, and click your tube on, it's like a little vacuum system, but no milk can actually, Joe's on, he said, I'll get
Thanks,
the
Joe.
Joe's upstairs, relaxing. So milk can't get into the tube. I would say to everybody out there, if you're choosing a breast pump, ask that question. Make that your first question. Nobody should be using, personally, I would not be using an open system. No. I would not be using it. And if they make them like that, it's only because it's old technology. Yeah. Truthfully, it may look expensive. It may be the one that everybody's recommending. The hospital might talk about it. But the truth is that there are better ways to do this than the way that we used to do it.
Yes.
And this is just more advanced. One more feature. Sit back flanges. Okay, so this flange is angled in a way where you don't have to lean forward to pump. They're angled in a way so that you can sit back, and the milk still goes, I don't know if you can see, the milk still goes down into the bottle. So you know what I'm talking about when you have to lean forward, otherwise you get that backflow.
Back up.
Exactly, it kind of backflows onto you, everything gets wet, you lose the seal, you got to keep drying off. This doesn't do that, and you're not killing your neck and your back from leaning over the whole time.
It's very good. It's good stuff. I'm liking this angle right now too.
It's a good angle.
I like a little tilt down.
Yeah. Oh, it was a good tilt from the top there.
It shows, it shows how tired we are too. Samsonite and Toomey are really out in full force right now. Yeah, so that's good. And I think a lot of women, we actually talked about this last night at dinner.
Our dinner conversation.
lubricating the flange.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You know, with like nipple cream or whatever.
Yeah. And not lanolin.
No lanolin.
No lanolin, but like a nice organic olive oil based nipple cream, or even some coconut oil on the flange will help to lubricate it so you get a nice gentle glide out of your flange. There's no sticking, especially if you're not using the soft silicone. The harder flanges, it's good to put some of that lubricant on there.
Somebody said they have a cold and a headache. Is there anything they can take without drying up their supply?
Most decongestants are going to be pretty drying. That's how they work. That's why you can take them to dry you up, and it will dry up your milk. I would say just more like steam, hot shower, steam. Going to be more of the
I have one of those My Pyramist things. They're so much money though. It was like $140.
Get in the shower and turn
but
it on
it's
hot.
a little gun you fill with water, and it has a mask, and I use it when I travel because I get dried out very, very easily on planes, and because I live on a plane, I lose my voice, and I actually brought it here with me to Vegas because I knew I was going to be a disaster and talk so much and get dehydrated. And then guess what I did? I forgot the power cord.
Oh, that's the worst. You remembered to bring it and you can't even use it.
No.
I hate that.
So it's there in the suitcase, just being awful, not helping me at all. It's rude.
Look how cute that looks in
It's
the mirror.
inconsiderate. That's a mess. The one thing I will say is there's a lot of mirrors in the SLS. Sometimes they're on the
Too many
ceiling,
mirrors.
sometimes they're on the walls. The SLS is basically the hotel of body acceptance because you are not hiding anything from yourself.
Everywhere you look, you're staring at a mirror.
Ever. Angles you're not used to.
The furniture trim even has mirrors on.
Yep. Mirrors everywhere. They light up. They reflect everything. So come stay at the SLS and get comfortable with your own body issues. Embrace it. Is it okay to use a used pump from a friend? Is it okay to put the parts in the dishwasher, or should you wash by hand? So let's talk about the used pump issue.
Used pump. No, I would not use a used pump. Of all your baby products, it's one of the products that you get fresh, you get new. You don't use used ones. So many of them out there are open systems, and you from baby to baby of your own, you don't know what's contaminated. This is a medical device that you're pumping your bodily fluids into, and then you're feeding that to your baby. You don't want mold or bacteria. Borrow the diaper bag. Borrow a stroller. These are things that you can get secondhand.
Borrow a baby carrier. A swing.
Exactly.
A swing is a great thing to borrow.
Nobody wants to save their money on a used stroller, or they want to get the used pump, and that's the one thing that you probably do not want to do at all.
Yeah.
So the answer to that is going to be no. And even if it's a closed system, I still wouldn't, because if it's not pumps have a shelf life, depending on how long you use them.
Yeah, because the motors on all pumps are made differently.
Yeah.
And they go by how many hours you pump.
Right.
So it'll typically be an hour warranty versus a year warranty.
Yes.
Or a 2-year warranty.
Yes.
And it depends on how often you pump, and if you're pumping all the time versus nursing, your pump is being used more. The motor won't last forever.
They're saying even if you buy new parts. Yeah, even if you buy new parts. Because like we were talking about before, if the motor is an open motor, you don't know what got sucked into that motor. You can't see it. You can't clean it. But those vapors can actually get back into the milk and contaminate the milk. So you don't want to do that. And then if the motor, like Jamie was just saying, if you've used it for many hours, the pump may not be functioning the way it needs to, and then you could actually decrease your supply pretty quickly because you don't have a motor that works. So I honestly do not think. Here's the thing: like the Evenflo Feeding pump, you don't need to spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on a great pump. This is my #1 recommendation. I don't care what is on the market, $300-400 pumps. If you take all of them together and you ask me which one do I prefer, it is the Evenflo Feeding. I did all the pump trials on it. I worked with the moms. I helped design it. I know how this pump functions, and it only, the basic model, if you just wanted to keep it really inexpensive, just the pump, the bottles, the flanges, and it comes with the 3 and the education. It's under $100. It's like $99. And even the deluxe with the bag and the cooler and the extra bottles and everything, $129.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse for that. I really feel like, that's the one thing to spend your money on if you're going to plan to breastfeed and pump.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other cleaning pump parts was the other part of the question.
Dishwasher's great. Yeah. Top rack of the dishwasher. Hot soapy water, rinse it and air dry it. You can do that too, or into the dishwasher. What I don't really recommend is sterilizing frequently. Maybe the first time you take it out of the package, you want to sterilize it, get it nice and clean, get rid of whatever was there from the factory, and then don't do that again, because breast milk doesn't really grow bacteria the same way formula does.
Yeah.
And so everything I'm saying to you right now goes for breast milk in a bottle. It is completely
very different than formula.
So don't take that and apply it to formula. And in fact, if you're doing like combined feedings where you do some formula and do some breast milk, I would keep those bottles separately, so that you have separate bottles for your formula and separate bottles for your breast milk, because those bottles with formula actually do need to be sterilized and kept quite differently.
I never even thought about that. That's a good piece of advice right there.
Yeah, save those.
Share Bear.
Yeah.
So a woman, I can only read half of her question right now, but I did read it before it scrolled up.
Okay.
Has a preemie in the NICU that just started breastfeeding. Great.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Otherwise, I'm pumping. My nieces, the twins, were in the NICU for a few weeks, and they latched on second day. So it's a good thing when that happens. Do you have any tips to get more things to increase production? Because she's only averaging 1 to 2 ounces per pumping session. So I think this is a good time to talk about what is actually considered a successful pumping session versus stomach size, all of that.
Absolutely.
Like, that's good.
How old is her baby? Did you get to see that?
I totally can't.
Okay. So regardless, 1 to 2 ounces may be the entire feeding. And quite honestly, most of the time when we think we have a low milk supply, it can be a perceived milk supply issue, a low milk supply. It's breast milk is not in the same quantities as formula. The baby's stomach sizes are small, so that first couple days they're taking like a teaspoon of colostrum at a time. You want me to use the balls?
Yeah.
I did travel with them, so
Danielle said he's now 36 weeks.
36
born
weeks.
at 28.
Okay. All right, great. So 1 to 2 ounces. It depends on how often they're feeding. Obviously, if you're pumping, they must be doing bottle feeding. Okay, so depending on how frequently they're feeding the baby, I don't know how long you're going between pumping sessions, but if you're pumping every 2 hours, 2 ounces is probably what you're going to get.
His feeds are 48 milliliters through the tube.
Okay, so that's like about 1.5 ounces, and you're pumping 1 to 2 ounces, which is probably a normal amount. They're probably feeding the baby every 1.5 to 2 hours, maybe 2 hours. Typically we make around 1 to 1.25 ounces per hour in breast milk. So depending on how often your baby eats, the feeding will be larger. It could be 3. If you're going every 4 hours or every 3 hours, you may be feeding 3 to 4 ounces. If you're feeding every 2 hours, you may be feeding 2 to 3 ounces. But over those hours, you're making about 1 to 1.25 ounces per feeding.
His feeds are every 3 hours, and she pumps every 2 to 3.
Okay, so if you add that together, you're getting exactly, and if not more, than what the baby actually needs to eat. Trying to make more milk, the only way to really do that would be to pump more frequently than you already are, which is not an easy thing to do. I'm not really sure that it's necessary. I don't think the more frequent pumpings for you is the issue. I have a feeling it has to do with not maximizing the multiple letdowns with your pump. So if you're using a hospital grade pump, but it doesn't have the independent speed and suction, or you don't know how to use it properly, where the milk slows down, you start pumping, the milk's expressing really well, you're getting a good expression, and then all of a sudden it starts to slow down and you're like squeezing and compressions and you're not getting any more, you're not actually taking advantage of that second letdown reflex. And by stimulating that second or third letdown, you can start to see way more milk draining out of the breast. Babies do that when they're on the breast. They're getting multiple letdowns when they're feeding. You just don't know that it's happening because they're doing it for you.
This is an interesting question. Thoughts on pumping before baby is born. I am over 39 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, most moms will start to produce colostrum in the second or third trimester, so you can start to see colostrum. All you're going to get is colostrum till the baby's born. You cannot start to get your mature milk in. That's impossible during pregnancy. But if you wanted to put away some of the colostrum, totally fine. I would say, the pumping could also stimulate your contractions too. Won't necessarily put you in labor, but it could make you uncomfortable. So you just want to watch that, because you don't want to start like irritating and stimulating your nipples and doing too much with the fear that your milk won't be there when you actually give birth, okay? But if you are leaking or you're seeing colostrum, go ahead and store it. Go ahead and save it. And especially if you're at high risk for preterm delivery or you're going to be induced early, I think putting some of that colostrum away that you're able to get out is perfectly fine. Perfectly fine. Just remember, nipple stimulation, like from a pump, stimulates uterine contractions. It has the same oxytocin release from your brain, which contracts your uterus and also contracts the milk ducts that get the milk out. So you can cause an irritability of the uterus, and then you're uncomfortable. You need to sleep. You need rest. You're going to be in labor. You need to rest, so don't make yourself irritable.
Yeah. Can you request any pump when you use insurance for it, or do they force you to use?
This is a great question. Okay, so I was talking to someone from one of the DMEs this week. Actually from Ashland Medical.
Oh yeah.
Okay, Caitlin. I had a conversation with her, and we were talking about like, why is it that some people are getting their pumps like sent to them before they even get to ask for them? Why is it that they're not getting choices on what they want? And the truth is that insurance companies do not dictate what kind of pump you get. This is a fallacy that, my insurance doesn't allow me to have the Evenflo Feeding pump, or my insurance only gives me the Medela pump. That's not true. What's happening is there are companies called DMEs, and those are the companies that distribute the pumps through your insurance. So they're the ones that bill your insurance when they send you a pump. If you call your insurance to get the pump, they may just call over and have a pump sent out to you. That's what's happening. It's triggering a call to their DME, a preferred DME, and then that DME has contracts maybe with one company, and you're not getting a choice on what you want. My suggestion is, don't go through your insurance. Call one of the national DMEs like Ashland or Yummy Mummy or Better Living Now. Any of those companies, or Aeroflow, those will all, you do is you give them your insurance, and then they take that on to figure out what you have that you get covered. And then they have choices for you. But if you do the reverse, it's too late.
Rebecca says, Ashland, Caitlin, help me get my pump. Such a helpful organization to get your pump through your insurance. They did everything for me.
There you go. They are really great, and they're really great customer service. And she was saying to me, encourage people to call us before they call their insurance, because sometimes you'll have you didn't even think you ordered a pump. Like, you just called to see what pumps where do I go, and then 2 days later there's a pump on your doorstep because they triggered the ordering of it, and you didn't really get to choose.
Yeah. And there's even you all have a landing page, correct, where you can actually go.
Yes. There's a landing page right now. It's evenflofeedinginsurancepump.com. Joe, can you post that? Evenflofeedinginsurancepump.com, and the Evenflo Feeding website soon in November will have an entire page dedicated where you can actually put in your state and figure out all that. But in the meantime, that link will send you to national DMEs. 4 national DMEs. There's links right there that I actually set up that will take you right to those 4 insurance DMEs, and the Evenflo pump, as well as others, are all available through those DMEs.
There you go.
Joe said yes, he's going to post it. So
Thanks,
you guys
Joe.
Look out for that.
Let me get my computer.
She used Aeroflow.
Hold, please.
Aeroflow is a nice national one as well.
Come on back. Come on back.
Can I take a nap while we're saying?
Listen, well, we've been going for an hour.
Oh, we have?
Yeah, we've been going for an hour. This went by quick. So we will we'll take a little bit. We'll do a little bit, more, and then we're good for today. We're tired.
Do we look spent? We're like.
I look like what we say in the South, since I am from Arkansas, what you say is we look and feel like warmed over, damn it.
That's a good one.
It's the truth.
That kind of sums it up this morning.
Oh man. I mean, like I took a photo the other night, and when I was in bed, and I was like, "It's my last day. It's gonna be my last day at the show. Like, what do you want to see?" I did not realize just how bad that picture was. My eyes look like they're made out of completely glassed over and exhausted. Like I remember, like it's still ABC's still very hard, but I mean, like I remember there were some years like I'm just like completely dead, like halfway through. You're so tired. Last year, I hit a wall. I've not ever talked about this publicly, P.S. And then we'll talk about why we say no to lanolin. Last year, 3 days into ABC, Jennifer had food poisoning.
Oh.
I had to take over a lot of her meetings. I went to dinner or lunch with my friend Annie. And we're sitting there, and it was like wall. I was so tired. I'd been run ragged, and I snapped internally and just broke down sobbing at lunch. I was so tired, and because it's
draining.
an exhausting show.
I had a lot of issues this time with my feet. Like my feet hurt so much. It didn't matter what shoes I had on. Like, just, I felt like everything was rubbing on the same spot. I had Band-Aids, and then I looked over at Jennifer. We were sitting, I'm like, I bet. She's like, me too. We were like, look at the Band-Aids on the bottom of our
I have blisters on my feet.
Just from walking. It's so much.
And, like, your backpack gets weighed down.
Yeah.
So, like, I have chafe marks on my actual back meat from, like, backpack straps.
Yeah, it's intense. It's a lot of, it looks like a whole bunch of fun.
It is a blast. It's a lot of fun.
But it's a lot of work, too.
I
talking
always say
that
it's
much.
like, it's my favorite week of the year, but it's the hardest week of the year.
Yesterday I walked around and streamed for like almost 90 minutes straight. I just kept talking and talking, and then when I got done, I mean, while I was doing it, I was having so much fun, and then as soon as I got done, I was like, oh, I'm like, what just happened? Joe said, you just talked for 90 minutes. Of course you're exhausted and dehydrated now.
Brianna, I'm glad you appreciate back meat. Oh, my friend Sheila's texting me right now. That's the bad thing about this is like,
can you turn off your text? Because when I get when I stream and I have my text on, it knocks me off.
Well, I usually go into airplane mode so that nothing can come through, and then I just connect to Wi-Fi, and that's going to work for your phone because you're a Samsung user.
No, I still get my text on the Wi-Fi.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know your life.
Yeah.
So why do we say no to lanolin?
Oh, yeah, lanolin, beyond the fact that it is yucky and sticky and doesn't really do much to heal the nipple, all it's doing is creating a barrier. So that's how it works. It's really thick. It's hard to rub on a sore nipple. When I was nursing and my nipples were sore in the beginning, I had to sit on the lanolin just to heat it up enough to get it out of the container because it's so hard and thick, then it's goopy. But then beyond that, it's got toxins in it. Do you know what lanolin is? The fat scraped off the skin of the sheep.
It's sheep wool sweat.
It's sebaceous excretions of the skin of the sheep, and that's how you get lanolin. So if people have wool sensitivities, the toxins, you're putting that in your baby's mouth,
or you're like a vegan lifestyle, if that floats your boat. Like,
there's so many better products out there that there's no reason to choose lanolin.
Mother Love, Earth Mama, Angel Baby are the two most well-known nipple creams.
And definitely completely organic, GMO-free. And they have, they go on nice and smooth. They're olive oil bases, and they have calendula.
Calendula, skin healing. It's also very good for this. It's very good for lip balm or anything. Like the nipple cream from Mother Love, the nipple butter from Earth Mama. Both of them are wonderful, wonderful, wonderful things. And I will say something right now. I'm not gonna, say who it was, but I recently saw an actress on TV who might have a skincare line, and she said they were talking to her and they were like, why did you create this company? And she was like, because as a mother, I wanted organic products that didn't look like they were made by a hippie grandmother in her backyard.
Really?
Oh, yes. And I would use those products
over hers any day.
That. So
that sucks.
Don't go.
Yeah,
that's
no.
why. I mean, I've been
That's
to the
awful.
Mother Love farm,
Yeah,
and I've witnessed them pick
awesome.
all the flowers by hand and seen how they make all this stuff, and it's fascinating.
There's
But
so
it's
much
like,
love and care that goes into both brands. They're so dedicated to the products that they put out, the safety. Anything that I would use from either Mother Love or Earth Mama, I would trust 100%. You don't have to question it. So I'll take those grandmas any day.
I will take those grandmas. Those hippie grandmas.
Those hippie, beautiful grandmas any single day, because you're trusting that to either ingest their teas or their tinctures or products that you're putting on your baby's skin or into their mouth on their nipple
Because
creams.
people also don't know baby skin is very, very thin, obviously, and they absorb 10 times faster than adult skin does.
Absolutely.
So you have to be really careful with what you're putting on your baby's skin.
Plus, they're small, so
Yeah.
the quantity of what they're taking in, skin is a route in, just like
Skin is an
eating.
organ.
It's an organ. It diffuses in. That's why we can use patches for medications. And you put on a transdermal patch for a medication, it goes right into your body. It's the same thing with your cosmetics, with your lotions, with your creams, with your shampoos, with your nail polish. Toxic. I mean, I have two girls. They're 12 and 14, and recently I just said, we need to start doing some non-toxic nail polish, because I don't know if you've ever read about what's in the nail polish recently, and there's all kinds of hormone disruptors. It's pretty awful.
And there are no standards in the cosmetic industry for what goes in.
Yep.
So
skin is your largest organ. That is absolutely true, Rebecca. Skin. See how my contacts
that's what
are
she
working?
said. Yeah,
I can
your
see.
contacts are really good today.
I can see. I got new contacts. I'm looking through my left eye.
Oh.
I was explaining that my contacts haven't been working for months and months, so they finally adjusted them where I have one eye that sees far and one eye that sees close, and I can see now.
Okay. Oh, there we go. What's the best thing to do for triplets? We're expecting triplets in June. Do I pump and store? Do I feed solely from the nip or pump and feed from the bottle? I mean, I will tell you she's obviously in it, but my sister, I think everybody with multiples, it's like you're going to have to do some kind of combination of all of it, I feel.
Yeah, but really try to breastfeed.
Yeah.
I mean, you can nurse. I've had clients with triplets. I had them right in my live classes. She exclusively breastfed triplets. And, even if you could do any, but it is possible to feed triplets. The way that I usually see moms with triplets nursing at the breast is you do one baby on one side, another baby on the other side. So you feed them first. And then once they're done, the third baby does both.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then you alternate so that the next feeding, that baby that did both sticks to one side, and you kind of do a rotation. You'll have to keep track, but you can you tandem nurse two of them, and then you single feed the second where they're both on both sides.
All right.
And remember, that milk that is last is going to be the higher fat milk, so the quantity might be a little bit less.
The hind milk.
But you're getting the hind milk into that third baby, which is why you want to keep rotating the feedings.
That's good advice there.
So doable to that's the hardest part, is that moms will, they're having twins, they're having triplets, multiples, and everybody around them's like, oh, forget it, you're never going to be able to do this, you won't make enough milk. Even your doctor might be saying stuff like that. You're not going to be able to produce enough for more than one baby, and that is just not true.
Your body would not function. Your body would not have multiples if you couldn't support. Like.
Yep.
People have been having multiples for thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands, or 2,000 years, millions of years. All the people have been having multiples and feeding them somehow.
One of the things you do want to keep in mind, this came up on one of my live streams by myself. We were talking about multiples. When it comes to low milk supply, because everybody has those questions. Like, it seems like it's like every single time we talk, it's about how do I increase my supply? How do I make enough? So we talked about, we didn't actually do it. we were about to talk about milk supply, but the thing is that, of all the people who think they have low milk supply, Majority of them are perceived milk supply because you think you should be making more than 2 ounces or 3 ounces, and you really don't.
Because you see these bottles that are huge.
That's right. And nobody with breast milk should be using 8-ounce bottles because it's never going to be that amount. But of the people who actually do have a low milk supply, 95% of people who have a true low milk supply do have a low milk supply because of creating it, like supplementing when you didn't need to supplement, not feeding frequently enough, or not having good latch in position where you're not draining the breast. Only 5% of people with low milk supply have some genetic disorder, and that can come from either like insufficient glandular tissue, like the breast doesn't actually have enough tissue to make the milk, really, really uncommon, or it could be that you have a hormonal issue that is causing you to not make enough supply, like PCOS or a thyroid condition. And the reason I'm bringing it up, if you have multiples, it made me think of it, or if you had any infertility issues to get pregnant, those issues could also be causing a low milk supply. So it needs to be addressed.
Okay.
All right, so somebody could have triplets, but if it's not like naturally occurring triplets and they had to go through IVF, there is a chance that whatever caused their infertility could be causing their low milk supply too. So you want to address that with your doctor and be ready for that.
Real quick, a lady.
That was a mouthful.
A lady just said her daughter is producing 100 ounces a day, and is having like very forceful letdowns and like. I can't remember the exact word because I can't see it now because it all scrolls. I'm just going to use the word spurting, and it hurts and like whatever. Yeah. So what tips can you give her for that?
Well, it depends on if she's creating the...
And she's exclusively pumping.
Okay, she's pumping too much. So 100 ounces a day, when a normal amount that you should be pumping for one baby would be about 26 to 28 ounces a day. So you're pumping 4 times the amount than we would expect to see from a breastfeeding mom. So I can imagine that she's super full, that she's squirting everywhere, and that the baby might actually be having some issues in addition to her, where baby could be gagging and choking when the baby's eating, getting really gassy, having difficulty with their latch, or maybe not even gaining as fast as you would think because they're not getting enough of the fat. There's no hind milk. It's all foremilk. It's all water. So it's not a great thing. It's not a great thing. And if she's pumping, she's actually creating it because she's probably draining it. If she's pumping 100 ounces, let's put it this way.
100 ounces is a lot.
If you pump 100 ounces, you're going to make 100 ounces. You have to start decreasing that amount that you're pumping unless you're planning to donate for 3 other children.
Yeah. Okay. Which is great if you can.
It's great, but not 100 ounces.
No, that's a lot.
Not 100 ounces. That's still too much because you're going to create issues with your own baby. And you're also going to put yourself at risk for breast infection. So if she's in pain, obviously not a good thing. We need to start decreasing that amount slowly. You don't have to drain the breast. You don't have to empty the breast every single time you pump. You start to decrease those pumping sessions a little bit less, and the milk will start to slow down and go away.
There we go. There we go.
Oversupply can be more of an issue than undersupply. More is not always better. More is not always better here.
Yeah. Rebecca says she had way too much with her second. Gassy, miserable, stinky, foamy, green bowel movements because of too much foremilk.
Yep, it's an imbalance. It's a foremilk, hind milk imbalance that comes with too much milk. Too much milk. Another way, if you're exclusive, so the first person said her daughter was pumping, so you're just gonna pump less. But say your baby's eating at the breast, like nursing at the breast, you're not pumping. How do you slow down that supply if you're just an oversupplier? You're not always causing it. Some people just genetically make more milk. Can you slow it down with the baby at the breast? What we can do is stick to one side for a whole feeding, and then the next feeding do the other side. That can start to regulate the amount, so you're going longer stretches. That fullness of the breast will start to naturally decrease, like we were talking about earlier. Or block feeding, where you do a couple feedings on one side, pump just a little bit to keep it comfortable, and then for a few hours just pump the other side. It will start to bring down your supply.
Lily asked if we are both physicians. I am not a doctor, but I play one on TV. Sherry's a CNM,
I'm a nurse
IBCLC, like.
Yeah, I'm a nurse too. I was a registered nurse, a labor and delivery nurse for about 7 years, and then I was a midwife. I had a practice for 10 years. I delivered over 600 babies in my practice, and then the last 10 years I've been a lactation consultant in private practice. I had a retail store and a learning center, and now I do it here online.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I've been doing it for 25 years.
And so make sure you go to follow her Facebook page as well, because she now can do live videos like this. They're obviously more fun when we're together.
Yeah, always more fun. Always more fun.
Even when we're dead tired. Even when I sometimes also call it parent tired, when we are parent tired. But she does live videos and Q&As herself on her Facebook page. So make sure you're following her as well, because obviously she is my expert go-to, whatever, in this field.
Thank you.
So like, use her as a resource.
Yeah, and in between these Q&As, we do these once a month together, which is the highlight. It's the best part. But then if you come over to my page and you post your questions on my walls, I come on like a couple times a week and I'll be answering questions. And I also have the classes that they can sign up for. You can do my classes, and I'm going to be starting a private group for my students where I'll be really being able to support you more directly through the group. So let's give away 3 classes.
Want to do 3? Okay.
Yeah.
So like this video, like it, and make sure you've commented. And I will pull a winner for the breast pump, and then we will pick 3 winners for Sherry's classes online.
There's a class called Simply Breastfeeding. If you're pregnant, if you just started nursing and you want to learn more about breastfeeding, just type in Simply Breastfeeding if that's the one you want to win. And the other one is called Breast Pumps and Briefcases. That one is all about pumping, going back to work, childcare, talking to your employer, everything like that. Just type Breast Pumps and Briefcases, and we'll pick winners for them. And
she'll pick those winners.
Yeah.
And you'll get some classes.
Or the cloth diapering.
Or cloth diapering.
I have a cloth diapering class. It's really cute. It's a really good one. We're ready to fall asleep.
I'm getting on a plane at 4 o'clock. And
I still have one more night.
I cannot wait to go home. I'm pretty beat. Pretty beat. And I have an announcement also that I'll be putting up tomorrow once I send the newsletter out. The newsletter is so late. It's so very late. And I've not checked my email all week. So that's a mess.
Someone's asking what's my Facebook page.
It's tagged in the caption.
Yeah.
But it's Sherry Criso, SHARICRISO, and then it'll pop up her credentials with her little blue check mark.
That's my page.
We get the blue check marks now.
That's my page.
So.
Yeah, the name of the page. Joe, if you're watching, can you just do a little link right here too? Because they're asking, but you can go right to the comment.
Yeah, as soon as we're done, just go check in the caption.
And link right over.
Yeah, my newsletter. You can go to there's actually a link to sign up on Facebook. I don't think you can access it via mobile, so you have to do it from a laptop. But it's called Happy Hour. Because why not keep it boozy themed? But that's my newsletter. And so the newsletter tomorrow is just announcing more stuff about the LA Baby Show that's happening in November when we're giving away 100 tickets.
And we're going to be together for that. Will we be streaming together for that?
I have no idea.
We're doing our Q&A live there together. That's going to be fun. We did that in the spring. I like that.
Yeah.
That was interesting doing that. Usually we sit here in a room by ourselves doing it, talking to the camera.
Or our reflected
or
selves.
Right now we've got a mirror in front of us because this is SLS. And there are mirrors.
Because it's Vegas.
It doesn't matter where we sit. We're going to see ourselves in the mirror. But it was really cool having the audience, like having live people in front of us to interact with. That was fun.
You know what I love? Because we did it for 2 days in New York.
Yeah.
And what I loved about the second day, both days it was great, but the second day, there were so many women of color that were talking about their nursing experiences.
It was great.
And just like, I've been nursing for 2 years, you know, blah, 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 blah.
Yep.
And it's so nice.
It was so nice.
It's so good.
It was so good to see that. And, wonderful.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Oh, man.
Anything else?
Everybody's like, thank you. Feel like I got a ton out of this. Good.
Yeah.
That's why we do it.
Leave more questions. Jamie was reading off of my wall today for some of the questions, so just leave them there because we'll answer them, whether it's I'll do them myself or we're going to do some fun stuff in this month too, getting together maybe remotely too. So we're going to try some new stuff.
There's some new fancy apps we've been toying with. So get ready for that.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all for hanging out on a Saturday afternoon and putting up with our tired, busted selves.
We did good, even though we were tired.
We were good.
We answered a lot. I hope that was helpful for all of you. Did you guys enjoy that? We get some hearts.
Yeah,
we need some hearts and love today.
Hearts just to get us through. Just get me on the plane.
Hearts and
And
love
I'll
to
tell
Jamie
you,
for a safe trip home and to me tomorrow morning.
You have tomorrow. What time is your flight tomorrow?
6 a.m.
No. I have a flight.
Glad it wasn't today at 6 a.m.
No, because you basically just wouldn't have gone to bed. I mean, I went to bed. I went to bed around 3.
Yeah, well, I went to bed around 3 too because I was with you.
And there was, I hope that poor girl downstairs, I hope she's okay. We got to the bar. We had a glass of wine. She didn't, I did. We just had like, you know, just to like decompress after Brit and like calm down. I had a glass of wine downstairs.
We're sitting talking.
And like, I like to have a cocktail, but you have to know your limits. And there was a woman 3 seats down,
It was bizarre.
completely passed out. And slumped down, complete chin to chest, like cut her circulation off. Her face was actually purple.
Yeah.
Like it was scary.
I walked over. I was like, okay, do I need to do
Go into
CPR?
nurse mode,
I was like,
know?
I'm a nurse. Can I help you?
So security came and like helped her get up and get her out. But like, it was scary.
It was scary. She had a completely like dark colored.
It was.
Her face
and
was
the
like,
bartender was like, yeah, she's passed out at the bar, but that could just be makeup.
I was like, that's
was
not makeup. It was not makeup.
It was really, really, really scary.
It was scary.
So just be safe in general as a human.
Yeah, that's why I stopped. I knew I'd be out. Joe didn't stop. Joe's back upstairs in
That's the reason
bed.
Joe is
He
in
couldn't
bed,
get out of bed.
hydrating.
I told him to stay back there today. So.
But we appreciate your work,
But that's
Joe.
Vegas. It was
It's
fun.
Vegas.
He's still on.
Yeah.
He still did a good job.
Yeah.
You see, you did good from bed, Joe.
Yeah, it's
You're
fine.
right upstairs. We still feel like you're right here with us. Thank you guys. Thank you, Jamie.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for doing this. I love doing this with you guys.
It's time to go now. And then I have to get to. Joe's like, "Are you sure that wasn't me?" Yes.
We're sure it wasn't you.
Yeah.
Poor Joe.
All right. So be good, everyone. I'm gonna finish packing up and then go to the airport.
Yeah.
It's pretty exciting.
If your questions didn't get answered, go post them. I'll come back to you guys. I'll come back this week and answer your questions.
Everyone's like hearts for Joe.
Hearts for Joe needs lots
Joe
of
needs
hearts
hearts.
today.
Joe needs his hearts.
Poor Joe. Poor Joe is not doing so well
But
today.
we just had a great time at Brit, which is what you should do. Brit's always been there for us. I will always be there for
And then
her.
you did great on the slot after
you
that.
pay the Brittany slots.
He did, and Brittany paid off last
Brittany
night.
paid off twice this trip. Both times I won over $100 on Brittany slots. So that's nice. It helps ease the burden of other expensive things you do here in Vegas.
Yeah,
So
we had a good time. We were with Laura from Back Buddy too.
Yeah. Those pillows we like. Oh man, okay. Well, we are good here. Everybody, we'll see y'all later. It's time.
Love you guys. Bye.
Okay.
See you soon.
Yeah, airports are gross. I agree.